Alright, this is NET-213, excuse me, NET-213. It's Wednesday. We just took the pre-assessment on Chapter 4, and then we reviewed and talked about accessing accessing the network down here. So we're really focusing on these items here in Chapter 4. But we did some review. So we did an example of, we have a device, could be anything that's going to access into the network. We'll look a little more at that. So we have some piece of software like a browser, sends a URL, application layer, the data is presented. We set up a session. The session's not going to end until the session is taken care of over here if it's a TCP. How are we going to transport the data? TCP, UDP, how big? We're going to divide it up. We're going to segment the data, put port numbers on it. We'll go to the network layer, IP addressing, determine the path of where we're going to go. We develop what's called a packet. So during these steps, we're encapsulating every step down in here. Every step down in here, we encapsulate source, destination, IP, where it's going. Then the data link later, we create a frame, and if it's Ethernet, we're going to assign the MAC addresses, media access control, physical addresses, and then the physical layer is going to figure out how to get it on the medium. We have a network interface card of some sorts. I'll talk more about that later on, but like if you look over here on the right, talk about access in this laptop, its NIC is allowing the signal to be sent through radio frequency because it's Wi-Fi. RF. Okay. Then the signals go, eventually come to a device on the other end, comes in physically. Whatever medium it comes off, it's turned back into bits. From that medium, we have the data link, checks if it's using Ethernet. It'll check MAC address. If that's okay, it's going to check the IP, strips that off, strips the IP information off, goes to the transport layer, then goes to the session layer. We got those sequence numbers, keeps track of everything being sent. If that's done, we have everything. If it was like encrypted, it would be decrypted, send the application and into the server, let's say running possibly some web software. Then the server will look at the request, and then if you need something back, like you clicked on a link and you're going to go on another page, the server then will send everything back down here. Depending on the sophistication of the network, of what it all goes through, it comes all the way back and then goes back down here and goes all the way back up here. If it's going through the internet, if it hits another router, it'll go up, look at the IP address, come back, another IP address, check the IP, maybe before it gets up here. Alright. So, for example, over here to the right, we have a server, and then let's say we have a device. This is where you get the term client server. This server might be holding data we want, might have applications, might have services. Excuse me, like a web server, DNS, DHCP, or whatever. So in our example here, we have a PC using Ethernet to access the network through a wire solution. Over here we have a wireless, so it's connecting through Wi-Fi. 802.11, 802.3. The phone's ringing. I'll get that after I get done with this. Either way, then when it's in, we talked about the bandwidth. Here we have 100 million bits per second. And we could have multiple ones of those on the switch. And then, like for example here, we have 1 gig bits per second. So we could have multiple people connected into here. And then the router would be working at layer 3, the network layer. It would decide, does it go this way, does it go this way, and so forth. This router, does it go up the internet, or are we taking this way to this device? In the internet, it can go through different routers, and then comes to our server, and our server can send the information back. We did a number of things of talking about, we got started, we looked at examples of wire, we talked about wireless, and we also looked at examples of fiber optics. Maybe the connection here to here could be fiber optic. Talked a little bit about bandwidth and latency. You know, even though this is 100 million bits per second, that doesn't mean we're going to get that as throughput. Throughput's going to be affected by this device taking a little time to get the information actually on the medium. This device has to look at the information. So throughput would be the time it takes from the start until the end. And then they have something I didn't mention in class called goodput. That would be just the information that has value, and there's other information that's on the network that would be maybe management information. Alright, well that's it.